8:45 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Lakshman Fonseca and read by Mario Vijayavardhana. The headlines. The President congratulates the newly elected Australian Prime Minister. Analysts say the youth are protesting without a proper understanding about the current crisis. Local surgical gauze manufacturers complain they can't cope with the industry with the current crisis. Plans to implement 300,000 new home gardens within the next 3 weeks. The examination department warns of GCE O-level malpractices. Tight security in Tokyo amid Biden's visit. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has congratulated the Australian Prime Minister-elect Anthony Albanese on winning the election and said the government is looking forward to working with him. He also congratulated Anthony Albanese, the newly elected Prime Minister of Australia, and added that the government of Sri Lanka is looking forward to working closely with the new administration and said to maintain better relations with the two nations. Meanwhile, Sri Lankan-born Holt Labour candidate Cassandra Fernando has won a seat at the Australian federal election. Cassandra Fernando in Holt will be the first Sri Lankan-born woman in the Australian Parliament. Analysts say both the Frontline Socialist Party or the JVP has no clear vision or a proper idea about the current economic crisis of the country. They are on an imprudent view that a country can earn dollars or rupees within a day. They said on a recent TV interview of the leader of the Inter-University Student Federation, Vasantha Mudalage, proved their vague idea of the current crisis. He is of view that both the President and the Prime Minister should resign, leaving the power to the general public. The general public cannot make any critical decision for a country. However, the general public is allowed to select a suitable representative to send to the Parliament and represent them and make decisions on behalf of their community. He is not aware of the constitution and the democratic procedure of the island. He is of a view that the country should remain in anarchy until they find their own procedure. They make accusations on leaders and other politicians without proof. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The local surgical gauze industry is in a precarious situation today. The Association of Surgical Gauze Manufacturers says the situation is worsening due to the depreciation of the rupee. They said essential raw materials like cotton yarn and chemicals have skyrocketed. They also added that the labourers are also demanding an increment of their salaries, which however isn't possible due to the prevailing situation. Local manufacturers have fulfilled all gauze requirements with an uninterrupted supply at all critical situations. However, at present, local manufacturers state that they are at a loss and therefore they urgently request the Health Minister's special attention to this issue and expect immediate measures to settle it and save the decade of all local industries. The government plans to put up approximately 300,000 new home gardens throughout the country over the next 3 weeks. Due to the global food crisis and recent crop damages which occurred, the government has taken this initiative to address the issue. The Agriculture Ministry, Agrarian Services Department and Samurdhi Development Authority will implement this program as a collaborative project. Uncultivated lands belonging to Buddhist temples, government schools and other government institutions would be used in this regard. Kurunegala District Senior Divisional Secretary of Administration R.M. Jayaratna said that the government would supply free vegetable seeds, quality seedlings and agricultural skills to interested growers to make this a success. The Commissioner General of Examinations LMD Dharmasena says all GCE O-level candidates should refrain from committing any fraud or malpractices while answering question papers. Around 4,560 special investigators will be deployed to make sudden visits to the examination centres countrywide to see whether the examination is conducted properly as per the instructions and guidelines given by the Examinations Department. It is also reported about 569 errant candidates who committed fraud and malpractices at the GCE O-level examinations were denied their official results of the examination during the last 5 years, and they were banned from appearing for public examinations for 5 years. All candidates are expected to be present at the examination centre by 8 a.m. on the days of the examination and behave decently within and around the premises of the examination centres. The examination department makes this request.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhaloka Vedamahatmya.
The Commissioner General of Examinations, LMD Dharmasena, says all GCE O-level candidates should refrain from committing any fraud or malpractices while answering the question papers. Around 4,560 special investigators will be deployed to make sudden visits to the examination centres countrywide to see whether the examination is conducted properly as per the instructions and guidelines given by the Examinations Department. It is also reported about 569 errant candidates who committed fraud and malpractices at the GCE O-level examinations were denied their official results of the examination during the last 5 years, and they were banned from appearing for public examinations for 5 years. All candidates are expected to be present at the examination centre by 8 a.m. on the days of the examination and behave decently within and around the premises of the examination centres. The examination department makes this request.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhaloka Vedamahatmya.
This is Watchlight.
A mobile app and a 24-hour hotline will be introduced to inform people of the availability of gas in their areas. The Committee on Public Enterprise, COPE, said this decision was taken to end growing protests demanding cooking gas. Meanwhile, Litro Gas Chairman Vijita Herath assured COPE that arrangements were being made to supply 80,000 cylinders daily to the market from yesterday.
Coming up, World News.
In world news headlines, Australia to see a change in government in 9 years. Tight security in Tokyo amid Biden's visit. Exports disrupted amid Russian invasion. Australia's Labour Party has toppled the governing Conservatives in the general election. Local media outlets report that the country will see the first change in government in 9 years. Australia's public broadcaster ABC reported that the Labour Party was projected to win 72 of 151 lower house seats, the Conservative coalition 50 seats, and Independents 15 seats. Labour Party leader Anthony Albanese is expected to form a new government with support from independents and others. Albanese told supporters that the Australian people have voted for change and that he is honoured to be given the opportunity to serve as the 31st Prime Minister of Australia. Police in Tokyo are on high alert ahead of US Vice President Joe Biden's visit to Japan. His visit to Japan comes as international tensions over Russia's invasion of Ukraine are at an all-time high. Biden is expected to arrive this afternoon at Yokota Air Base in Tokyo. He is to meet Emperor Naruhito and conduct meetings with Prime Minister Kishida Fumio during his 3-day visit. The president will also attend a meeting of the Quad nations, which include Japan, the US, Australia, and India. The UN has warned that Russia's invasion of Ukraine could lead to global food shortages in the coming months. According to UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres, rising food prices have exacerbated food insecurity in poorer countries. If Ukrainian exports are not restored to pre-war levels, the world could face years of long famines, he added. The conflict has cut off supplies from Ukraine's ports, which used to export massive amounts of sunflower oil, as well as cereals like maize and wheat. This has reduced global supply and driven up the cost of alternatives. And now the main points of the World News segment once again. Australia to see a change in government in 9 years. Tight security in Tokyo amid Biden's visit. Exports disrupted amid Russian invasion. That was world news, and now in development news, the government proposed a bill to amend the Sri Lanka Electricity Act to remove restrictions regarding participation in a bidding process for energy production. The draft made by the Power and Energy Ministry includes changes to sections 8, 9 and 43 of the Sri Lanka Electricity Act No. 20 of 2009. The amended section 9 permits any person to apply for a power generation license and removes the restrictions on the eligibility to apply for licenses over and above the generation capacity of 25 megawatts.
Sports News is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
Sri Lanka Rugby SLR is set to hold its annual general meeting under the supervision of the National Olympic Committee despite fears that the fuel issue may prevent them from playing the remaining matches in the Inter-Club League and the Clifford Cup. After the Court of Appeal overturned the former Sports Minister Nama Rajapaksa's Gazette notification halting SLR, this is their most pressing obligation on their agenda. Risley Elias, president of SLR, stated that they will first have meetings to arrange the AGM. After that, they'll meet with club officials to see if they can field teams to finish the league tournament, which will be followed by the Clifford Cup tournament, which is a much bigger event.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The Ceylon Petroleum Private Tankers Owners Association requests the Inspector General of Police to provide security when transporting fuel. They said several obstructions are made by certain groups in the past few days and they need extra security transport fuel. Joint Secretary of the Association D.V. Shanta Silva told the IGP that they could not report for duty if they are not provided with security during fuel transportation. Approximately 13,000 people filed for visas through a specific Western embassy this month, with many of them being denied according to sources at the mission too.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Economic news, courtesy of...
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
The head of the International Monetary Fund IMF has warned the government to subsidize the cost of food and energy for the poorest members of society. She said without the correct government support, the protests seen in Sri Lanka could be repeated in other countries. IMF head Kristalina Georgieva told the BBC that people around the world are struggling with the rising cost of living. Kristalina Georgieva also said support needs to be provided in a very targeted manner, preferably by providing subsidies directly to the needy people.
LOLC Finance is taking the power of innovation to the next level, winning 5 golds at the Technovation Awards 2022, leading the digital revolution with cutting-edge interbanking digital payments. LOLC Finance claims the overall gold award whilst also claiming an extraordinary victory in digital banking. LOLC Finance will continue to innovate with the next generation digitalization of financial services, delivering a superior customer experience.
The Weather Report.
Several spells of showers will occur in the western and Sabaragama provinces and in the Nuwara Eliya, Kandy, Gala and Mathura districts. Strong winds about 40 kilometers per hour can be expected at times over the western slopes of the Central Hills, the northern, north central and the northwestern provinces and in the Hambantota and Trincomalee districts. The sea areas off the coast extending from Puttalamur to Trincomalee via Kankasanturai and Hambantota to Pothuville will be rough. The other sea areas around the island will be fairly rough at times. That was the weather report, and now the headlines of this news broadcast once again. The President congratulates the newly elected Australian Prime Minister. Analysts say the youth are protesting without a proper understanding about the current crisis. Local surgical gauze manufacturers complain they can't cope with the industry with the current crisis. Plans to implement 300,000 new home gardens within the next 3 weeks. The examination department warns of GCE O-level malpractices. Tight security in Tokyo amid Biden's visit. That concludes this news broadcast. You're with Radio Sri Lanka.